Hey everybody, welcome to On the Ring Aprons, top rope spoilers for NXT Takeover 36. I'm Steve, my partner Tia stepping in here straight from work. How goes it?
Hi.
Can you at least act like you're not sleepy?
I work a lot. I don't think that's a possibility.
Yeah, well, hey, we got to make our money too, Again, remember, as anybody who follows us on a regular basis knows, we don't get paid for this. If anything, we go in the red for this.
Yes.
So, but we enjoy bringing you guys live coverage, so this is what we do. But as I said, hopefully you could hear me over the music, which we're going to present here in just a second. This is our official Top Rope Spoilers preview for NXT Takeover 36, part of a 2 pay-per-view weekend as we celebrate the second biggest pay-per-view that WWE has every year, and that is Summerslam. But this year, NXT gets the main billing on Sunday, while SummerSlam gets the Saturday.
I think that's a pretty bold move to actually give NXT the top spot, especially on one of the biggest weekends when SummerSlam is one of the biggest parties of the summer, and not just the summer, of the year. It's one of the main 4, in my opinion. So.
Absolutely. So, giving them that main thing, of course, also means that you've got to put on one killer show in order to be able to make everything meet up.
But when does NXT never not get put on one killer show? So
True. So first of all, a shout out to the group that let us use their song to begin things. That was Seas of the Moon featuring Lena Scissorhands by the Regress. I know you can't really see their name down here, but that was who was presenting the theme song and the official main theme for NXT Takeover 36. So a huge thank you to them for letting us use their theme for this. And of course, for those of you that are just kind of going in, of course, you've been seeing our previews through our posts through the week that we're doing another giveaway. Those of you who joined us for WrestleMania, of course, remember that we gave away a couple of virtual meet and greets just before WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
I think, if I recall, Big E got one. I think The Miz ended up getting one.
Mm-hmm.
I think we ended up giving out a couple of Naomi's.
yeah.
Unfortunately, not as much available to be able to give out this time. We have to kind of scale it back this time, but we are giving away a couple of WWE Shop T-shirts of your choosing. All the details on how to be able to enter are in our Instagram feed, so make sure you go back and look at it to officially get in. There's already about 75 or 80 names that are already in there, and of course getting added in earlier today. If you watch our shows, both this one and Plate Exchange tomorrow, you get an additional entry if you watch all the way to the end.
Yeah, we actually are giving away pretty cool prizes for us, but you also understand that when I tell you Steve spends his money on WWE, I mean what I say. Literally, they might as well go ahead and just take your money.
And anybody who's joining us for the first time will get an opportunity to see that firsthand. But let's go ahead and let's move into the pay-per-view. As of course, it's it's Thursday, excuse me. Friday, I guess, if you're way out west or
Yes.
east. So let's go ahead and look at the scoreboard of what we've had up to this point. And right now, you're struggling. You're struggling a little. I went 5-2 at Money in the Bank. He unfortunately kind of flipped the script and went 2-5. She went with a couple of gut picks, edge, and that was not the route to go. You don't bet against the Tribal Chief. Let's see if you learn your lesson this weekend.
No, because I'm going to pick for Cena.
Spoiler! So anybody who's waiting for the last part of our SummerSlam preview on Saturday, that's he may have just given that away. But I do open. I've got 25 wins. Kia's got 18, so I've opened up a little bit of a gap. But we're not even halfway through the pay-per-view year yet, so plenty of time to make up some ground.
But we saw what happened last year. I led by a pretty tough margin last year, and we saw how you came back from that. So
it's definitely not impossible.
Give me the rest of the year, and I'll catch up to you, if not pass you.
Hope so. And of course, we always want to hear the feedback from the folks that are in our side. If you agree with our picks, let us know. If you don't agree, let us know that too. We're again they're spoilers, but if we were getting paid to get all these right, we wouldn't be doing this. I know that.
Yeah. We also like to hear the general discussion of who you pick, why you pick them, and for anybody that's just tuning in, if you are new to this whole thing, we take our picks, we actually give you our explanation, and then we let you know why we picked them, and that's how it goes. So we want to hear from you and tell us what you think.
Absolutely. So with that, let's get to our first pick.
Okay.
And that is our first of what is going to end up being 4 title matches and 1 killer main event. Only a 5-card pay-per-view, as typically TakeOver is. But we open with a match for, missed my mark, the $1 Million Championship. And this will actually be the first time that I get to bust this thing out on Top Rope Spoilers. And for the record, anybody who has never held this particular belt, this thing is heavy. Okay, if it's, $1 million, diamond, gold, all that stuff, I doubt I've got the full diamonds per se, but that thing is heavy considering, its small size, but definitely worthy of the moniker of the $1 million championship.
Mm-hmm.
This will be the second time that this championship will be defended on NXT. Ironically, the last one also at a takeover. And it will be the same two people competing for the championship as the incumbent champion LA Knight defends against his previous butler, Cameron Grimes. But there is a bit of a caveat to this one. Of course, not only is the $1 million championship on the line, but also Cameron Grimes' butler servitude has also been put on the line as well, but with a bit of a twist, because if Cameron Grimes cannot get the job done this time, it's not he stays not LA Knight's butler, but also Ted DiBiase himself, the $1 million man, will also become a butler to LA Knight.
I figured of all people, that'd be the last thing he would want to do. You think he's a $1 million man, and his son, who I'm sad to say we don't see anymore, would be above being someone's butler. But I guess, hey, you do what you gotta do when you're betting and you're putting all your money and you're putting your money where your mouth is when you're betting against, LA Knight.
You say forgetting names? You never get his name right.
I don't understand why, but
It's okay. LA Knight, has made it a point to make sure that, ever since he won the $1 million championship, which of course is something that Cameron Grimes has strove for ever since meeting Ted DiBiase for the first time, Knight has made it a point to make sure that he not only is showing off that title whenever possible, but also making sure that Grimes understands that you are below me, you serve me, and really at this point Grimes, at least at the beginning, took it in stride. He cracked jokes, he got other folks do it. It was a great amount of entertainment on NXT, but then slowly over time he's become more and more disrespectful to the point to where Grimes isn't taking it, with the final straw being him slapping and punching Ted DiBiase in the ring on the last NXT that we had before the show. So at this point Grimes has said enough is enough, and DiBiase even doubling down by saying, Grimes, I know is better than you. In fact, I'll put serving you as your butler on the line. I'm that confident that Grimes can beat you.
Well,
so we'll see. Again, like you pointed out, put his money where his mouth is. Well, you can only imagine if Knight was doing this to Grimes, what's he going to do to DiBiase if the tables are turned that way?
I feel like it'd be a lot worse. But hey, we'll have to wait and see how it works out.
Yeah, at this point, the entertainment value of this has kind of gone sour to the point to where now you're seeing Knight in his, absolutely heel role, which is what you expected, and Grimes has done his best to play a face role, but now at this point is fighting for the honor of a person that originally he couldn't stand, but now has a great amount of respect for in Ted DiBiase. So we move to our picks. Because I am in the lead, I do pick first, so that way you have the opportunity to be able to make up some ground based on who I pick. I'm actually going to go LA Knight. I think that the payoff for Grimes to win this is not quite here yet. I do think that they're going to continue to really push this heel role of LA Knight in terms of him being the $1 million championship or $1 million champion. And not only that, now he can show off the belt to the actual original owner of the championship, saying, you gave it to me, now not only do I own it, I own you too. And I think it just sets up for the perfect heel push. I do think Grimes eventually wins the title, but I don't think it happens here. I'm going to go Knight to retain and create that butler situation for DiBiase.
I feel like, in my opinion, if he is being as disrespectful as you say he's being, which from what I'm getting from Instagram and I'm getting from watching I'm watching YouTube videos and everything, I feel like being disrespectful to, first of all, a veteran of all people who have been around, who has been in this business, who knows the in and outs, who knows what they're doing, and if they're willing to put their money, this man has a lot of money. This is not just a storyline for him. This is actually reality. So for him to have a lot of money and to put his money where his mouth is and to put his servitude on the line to get Cameron Grimes out of it, that's saying how much he believes in Grimes. And honestly, I feel like if Grimes initially did not despise DiBiase, I feel like, okay, it would have been what it was, but I feel like now they're sitting here and they're saying, I'm the better one. I feel like I can hold the title. I feel like I'm the one that should be holding the title. I feel like I should have won it the last time. But you know what? All the disrespect that I've seen, all the disrespect that I've had to go through and being your servant, now I feel like it's my turn. So I feel like, in my opinion, Grimes is going to go ahead and he's going to take this title off of LA Knight, and I feel like, he's going to, the little smug smirk that he has on his face will be wiped clean. Yes, that's a pun.
So we're going opposites on this one. You think new $1 million champion? I'm going with Knight holding it.
And when you do, don't take it to the moon with you, please.
Yeah, you keep it here. I want to keep my belt here where it is. But
yeah.
Again, as I said, first of all, if you've never held this thing, make sure you take the time if you ever get a chance to hold on to this thing, because for something that's relatively small in stature, I mean, my hand easily fits up underneath it, but it's relatively heavy. So I personally wasn't sure whether I'd like getting this one once they made it a main staple belt on NXT, but I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoyed having it, and the fact that the little dollar sign that goes around it, you can adjust that to where no matter how big or small anyone is, anyone can be able to wear it. So it's a very nice additional piece to anyone's belt collection if you have one.
Yes.
Moving on to our second match, and this one, honestly, when trying to set up the order of these matches, it was very difficult because you really have, outside of this match, all 4 remaining matches could be considered main event caliber matches for a pay-per-view of this. So it was hard to pick an order, and we may not even be close to the order on this one, but this is what we went with for our second match, and it will be basically the rematch everyone's been talking about of last year's match of the year. It's for the United Kingdom Championship, as the incumbent champion Walter will defend his 760 plus day reign against Ilja Dragunov for the United Kingdom Championship. This match, had everything. When you showed it last year, it had power, speed, near fall after near fall after near fall. It looked like that you really thought that Dragunov was going to be the one that was going to do so. This had very much a feel of that Shawn Michaels Undertaker the first time they went around. And 40 consecutive minutes of just fantastic back and forth. And then Ilja made one single mistake. It was probably the only mistake he made in the entire match, and it cost him the match. Which proves, again, just how good Walter has been as champion, because even just a single mistake in a 40-minute match was all it took for him to be able to outlast him. But now, months later, you get the rematch. We find out, is it finally time for Walter's run to end?
For me, when I first, saw Walter and whatnot, I was like, I feel like he's a schoolyard bully. I feel like he's up to no good. I feel like, in my opinion, he's disrespectful. But then the more I've watched him and the more I've seen him progress, and the fact that he's held this title as long as he has, and he's shown what he could do, and not just his physical size, but his speed. Again, we talk about big boys not being this fast, but we keep seeing it. We saw it with Kevin Owens. We've seen it with, Walter. We've seen it plenty of times, and he's no different. Keith Lee, exactly. We've seen this plenty of times. So, in my opinion, when I first saw Walter, I felt like I don't really like him, but now I've got nothing but respect for him. The fact that he is the general it should tell you right there what type of person he is. And those slaps. Like, I feel like you're slapping the soul out of me when you slap someone.
All I can picture is that one he hit Adam Cole with a couple of years ago. And Cole did a full flip after he got hit. He got hit so hard. He
sold it, though. And then Ilja over here, like that one slip up that happened in the last match, I feel like that was the downfall for him. I think, honestly, he has had the time to actually have the time to think and learn and say, I'm not going to make a slip up. I'm going to be prepared. I know what he's working with. And the fact is, Walter is coming back from a hand injury, correct?
Correct. The reason why this match was supposed to happen about a month ago on NXT UK, I remember coming home specifically to watch this one, only to find out that due to an injury backstage, and it was a legitimate injury that Walter ended up needing to have surgery on his chopping hand. They ended up moving this match to Takeover 36, which you wonder, does that set the tone for that big title change, and also to put NXT UK back on the map? Because the one thing you've seen from Dragunov is that he has evolved and has really changed his mindset since that match, because he had 2 huge matches right before the COVID era began and then immediately after. He had that match in Chicago where he went one-on-one with Finn Balor, who was just coming back to NXT, and they put on a 30-minute clinic. And then he, of course, had what ended up being the match of the year with Walter last year, and it was another 40-minute clinic against one of the best that's ever laced up boots in the wrestling business in Walter. So, you've seen Dragunov at this point taking no prisoners. You've seen him essentially saying, look, I know I made a mistake. It's my fault. I own up to it, but I promise you I'm going to do whatever it takes to get back to that title match, which he's now going to get on Sunday, and when he gets there, I will not slip again. You know, and of course, you know, we would be remiss if we didn't mention Walter having Imperium in his corner. Dragunov has gone it alone. He has decided, you know, he doesn't want anybody going with him. He doesn't bring people with him to even the odds, you know, because you were wondering about certain people in UK. You know, you've got Gallus, you've got Pretty Deadly, the NXT UK Tag Champs. You would wonder if any of them would potentially go with Dragunov to kind of even the score against Imperium. Ilja's chosen to take this one alone. He says, I want no excuses, and I know that when I win this championship, I did it myself.
But I feel like also, since we're talking about going in alone, we've seen Walter go in with Imperium. We've seen him go in without Imperium. I can tell you, doesn't matter what he does or who he faces, Walter can go in with his group, and he can go in without his group. This man is a big man. This man can carry his own. Doesn't really need any help. The fact that they're there just for that backup. But again, this man over here, when I saw those red eyes, I felt like he was kind of crazed. But then I was like, that might be a turn on. It might be a flick of the switch or whatever to make it to where, okay, now I'm fully amped up. I'm going to win this title. And that one slip, again, didn't do him any justice. I hope he's learned. I'd like to see that he's learned. I'd like to see him hold this title, too.
Let's find out if you believe in him enough that it's going to happen. You've got first pick on this one. UK Championship. Is the run for Walter over?
I don't think so. I'm sorry. As much as I want to, he's held this title way too long. This is his baby. At this point, I don't see no one else holding it. It's nothing against Ilja. I don't care what type of injury Walter has. I feel like he can overcome it. I feel like he will go through it, and I feel like somehow, some way, he will retain his title. So, no, I don't really see it. Nothing against Ilja. I'm sorry.
I see, you know, this is the biggest push that the UK brand has been given. You know, they've gotten, of course, Walter beating Pete Dunne to win the championship a couple of years ago at an American Takeover. They've had Walter compete at Survivor Series. Mm-hmm. You know, he's definitely far from unbeatable. Mm-hmm. But, you know, in one-on-one matches, if you ever notice whenever Walter falls, it tends to be in multi-man matches. Against Survivor Series, you had 4 or 5 people ganging on him at once. Mm-hmm. So it is what it is, but the reality is, one-on-one, he possesses literally every quality you want in not just a wrestler, but a champion. You see, you mentioned him, the power, but speed, the ability to be able to fly from the top rope as well as ground and pound. He literally can do it all.
Yes.
You know, Dragunov, really speed is about the only thing that he can be able to match Walter in and possibly outrace him on, is simply just he's faster and he's smaller, but power-wise he's got virtually no chance of matching up against him. So it's going to come down to a similar strategy that he used the first time, which is having to use his speed and his ability to be able to catch Walter off guard whenever possible. I'm curious to see how much the surgery on Walter's hand is going to play a role in this, because without the ability to be able to chop, to use the big chop, he's a very different person. The hand also limits his ability to hit his power bomb to be able to finish matches. So, you know, he's definitely going to be limited in his normal capacities, which may give Ilja, you know, the best opportunity that not just he's had, but I think anyone has had to grip this title away. But I'm going with you. I don't think the reign ends quite yet. I think, you know, Ilja is going to come ready. I think this steals the show. And this is on a card that's got Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole on it. But I think this match is going to very quietly steal the show. But I like Walter retaining. I don't think the run's done yet.
Here's my thing. For the ring general, I feel like the ring general, you know, he's just like an architect. He's meticulous. When something happens to him or his group, he's got a plan C, D, E, F, G. So I think even though his hand is messed up and he can't hit a lot of his, you know, power moves, I feel like in the back of his mind, I feel like he's going to be ready and he's going to have something up his sleeve. So, you know, I hope dexterity works for that. That's what I'm thinking of using. I hope that works.
Job. Bust out the vocabulary. I like
Boom.
it. So we both going Walter on this one.
Yep.
All right, so for those of you who joined us, we got a couple of Hays in our crowd. You know, Man, Lily, hey there.
Hello.
You know, a lot of new faces have joined us, of course, you know, due to our giveaway. You know, we're excited that we're going to get to do this. Anyone, of course, who joins in and is still, you know, here at the end will have an opportunity to be able to pick up an extra entry in our T-shirt giveaway on Saturday. So, you know, we're hoping that, you know, you guys are enjoying it. Have we gotten the first 2 right so far or wrong? You know, let us know. But let's move on to match 3. Friendships, of course, are meant to be broken, and no friendship has meant more in a breakup, probably since the Sasha Bailey breakup, than this one down in NXT. And that is the second time I've missed my spot. But once again, it comes out of the women's division, and it is Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai for the NXT Women's Championship.
So I'm at work. I'm at work and my phone literally, when I tell you, my phone literally is blowing up Twitter and Instagram and every other form of social media, and I think Facebook kind of got a touch of it. When this happened, my phone blew up. I had to literally turn it off and put it in the back, said my supervisor and my manager. So, I mean, like, I wanted to know,
Dakota and Raquel, you almost cost her job. Shame.
So, I mean, I literally went on break early, and I wanted to know what was going on, and then I said, you know what, I don't know why I'm surprised in this situation. We've seen who's come out of the woodworks to support Raquel, who has been her best friend, who's been her mentor, who's been there for her. I feel like with this right here, it's been a tight friendship, but I also felt like when she teamed up with Raquel, there was always a motive. The King doesn't do nothing without a plan. Mm-hmm. King Coda does not do nothing without a plan. She had a backup. She had in her mind, you know, when they had this friendship, when they started this run together, and not only did they start the run, they were the first to win the women's NXT Tag Team Championship. So I feel like kind of Raquel owes her, but I feel like from what I've heard, Dakota's like, well, you're all about yourself, and you think you're this, and you think you're that, and I feel like you're kind of forgetting me, and I'm not going to be in your shadows. The same stuff we hear every time she decides she wants to turn on someone. She said it with Tegan. She said it with, now it's Raquel. So I feel like we're seeing the same storyline, but the only difference is she's getting more and more bolder. At this point, who can really trust Dakota anyway?
Therein lies the issue, and that's where, you know, ultimately this friendship, and we've of course seen, you know, the breakups, of course, you know, we know about the Rockers, we know about the Shield breaking up, we know, of course, you know about different women's breakups, Sasha and Bayley finally turning on each other, Becky and Charlotte having their breakup a couple of years ago. You know, it happens. I mean, friendships break, and then you end up with these great personal rivalries. These two fused together because they wanted to go out and win the first ever women's tag team classic, and they did, and as a result, were the first ever NXT women's tag team champions together, granted, only for an hour, but, you know, the fact is they get to hold that distinction. But that was why they came together, and the reality is, despite the fact that Raquel went on to win the NXT women's championship back in April, it's been Dakota who has been in her corner, letting Raquel do her thing. But for the most part, Dakota's been watching people step by her and walk right on past her and talk like she's not even there.
You're right. I feel like, in my opinion, you know, she has this title as King, and we've heard her use King Coda and everything. I feel like for someone who's supposed to be your mentor, supposed to be your friend, and you know what she's going to come with, and you know at some point she's going to turn on you to step over you, I feel like she has been stepped over and she has been stepped on. And I can understand why Dakota is mad, because she's being overlooked. For someone who's got, I don't say you've got potential, you have everything you need. And again, let's think back to the Mae Young Classic when we saw both of these women for the first time, and we're like, oh, I think this is going to be great. But, you know, just the Mae Young Classic itself was great.
Where they've come since then, in those 5 years they've been there, it's just insane.
Their evolution and their transition and their just transformation from look, it's not just their wrestling skill, it's their look, it's how they view things, it's how they work together, and now they're having to work, again, opposite of each other.
Well, one thing you hit the nail on the head on, Dakota, I saw a person on social media use the reference that she is now the Kevin Owens of the women's division in NXT. Owens can team with anybody, but every person he teams with knows inevitably when the moment is right, he will turn on them. He has no true friends. He has no true allies. He will team with who he needs to team with when the moment comes, and he's also perfectly fine going it alone and getting his butt kicked, you know, time in and time out. Well, Dakota's the same, because this is by just my own thought process, and somebody correct me if I'm missing a name here. This is the third different person that she has had a good team with that she has turned on. You talk about Tegan Knox back at Survivor Series. She's turned on Ember Moon, and now she's turned on Raquel, a former tag team champion with her, and she's done all of this for this. I
don't feel like Raquel was trying to be disrespectful. I don't feel like anybody that she's teamed with previously, I don't feel like they were being disrespectful, but I think that's how Dakota viewed it. I feel like, in my opinion, Raquel has done nothing but bring great things to this women's title by being who she is, by fighting for what she believes in. And you have to think, I love Raquel because she's a Texas girl. So, I mean, my thing with that is, you see her in the gym. You see her. She works out. She busts humps. She does what she's supposed to do. There hasn't been anything as far as interviews and wrestling matches where you need her. She's there, and that's what I think Dakota's not realizing. When you need her, she's there. and she's fallen into the shadows.
Well, that's the one thing she talked about, and Dakota hit the perfect line before finally, driving the nail into Dakota or into Raquel's back. She says, "As long as I'm by your side, you will always be champion." And then she left her side by simply saying, "Now that I'm out of your corner, you're vulnerable. I know your weaknesses. I know you better than anyone. I know how to beat you, despite the fact that you're powerful, despite the fact that you're fast. I know how to get by you." And that's where this match is going to come down to, because the only advantage that you have in this circumstance, as I move on to my pick here, Dakota has set the tone to have Raquel in an emotional state. And you've seen her every step of the way. For 2 weeks, Raquel has been fuming, just desperate to get her hands on Dakota, and has failed to do so up to this point. They made him do it by live feed, and Dakota, teased her and taunted at her every step of the way. Raquel is fuming right now, and she wants to get her hands on Dakota. The problem is that can be just as much helpful as it can be hurtful.
Exactly.
And if Raquel cannot keep her emotions in check, it can cost her, because Dakota right now is living rent-free right up here in Raquel's head. The counter to that, though, is Dakota, this is your one shot to be able to use the surprise element and the emotion to your advantage, to have that advantage over Raquel. Because if you try this and Raquel succeeds in retaining the title, at this point, all the frustration's out of her. The surprise element's gone at this point. You've lost your one huge advantage at this point. Dakota has got to get it done this particular time, and at this point, in my opinion, Raquel has never faced a challenge that is going to push her mentally. We know physically she can handle this. She's got the strength advantage, arguably can go just as fast as Dakota. Dakota might have her by just a little bit. Neither one of them are really humongous flyers per se, but Dakota right now is living up here. Can Raquel, we know physically she can handle it, but mentally can she handle it? And I think right now all of the pieces are in place perfectly, and I think Dakota has played the perfect chess game, and now it's time for her to make that one last move into checkmate. New champion, Captain Coda. New NXT Women's Champion. I got Dakota.
I mean, I love Raquel. Again, she's a Texas girl. I'm a Texas girl. I don't see her, but she's held that title for a good long time, in my opinion. But I also feel like Dakota has been disrespected, overlooked, overviewed by everyone in the women's roster. I thought
she should have been champion years ago.
I felt like, in my opinion, I felt like that too. And the fact is, she hasn't been, and she's been by everybody's side, and she's done what she's supposed to, and she's played the good girl, she's played the bad girl, she's played king, she's played a little bit of everything that you have wanted her to play, but she's done it with, some would say a chip on her shoulder, some would say she's playing it just to go out there and see what type of rise. Again, like you said, she's living rent-free in Raquel's head, and as much as I hate to say that, anybody that is vulnerable, the fact that Dakota knows you, knows your movesets, knows what you're about to do, knows what you're going to say before you say it, knows what you're going to think before you think it. When you have someone like that in your corner, that was in your corner, that was literally picking you apart while still trying to be your friend, I feel like now that she's not by your side, I feel like at this point, she's got you where she wants you. And like you said chess, I feel like she's been playing the perfect checker game. Perfect. And in my opinion, I don't see Raquel retaining unless she comes up with something that's just we don't see from Raquel. But in my opinion, I'm going with King Coda.
Going Dakota as well. So we both see title change.
Yep. So that's who I'm going with. I'm excited, and I love the hair. And let me tell you something. I got my eyebrows done today, and I wish they looked this fierce. But
I'm looking at the eyeshadow on Dakota, especially. I mean, they both look fantastic. But the purple, and of course, she's dyed her hair pink now. It's not showing here in her photo, but they're both looking fierce right now. This is going to be one that could very quietly be a good match as well. I think this one's going to kind of get buried under a number of other good matches, and it's not fair. But also, hey, they're the only women on the card, so time to show up and show out.
Yep.
Let's move into our co-main event, and again, as I said already, you've got a number of different matches that could have main evented. We've decided to go with the title match, the last title match, as your co-main event, setting up, of course, the 2 out of 3 falls as your main event. But it's for the NXT Championship, as you have Karrion Kross, the still, at least in NXT, undefeated champion, hopefully with the return of Scarlett in his corner, taking on the returning one match only, former 2-time NXT champion in Samoa Joe.
When he gets up, what is it?
It's both your asses.
Exactly. And I hate to say that for Scarlett.
Five it up, it's both your asses.
I'm looking forward to this match. You've got a tough competitor in Joe, but we've seen what Karrion Kross has done. Let me go ahead and put it out there. I feel like, he's been on the main roster for a little bit of time, and I feel like that loss, I feel like that will be the fuel that he needs to actually retain this NXT title. But that's not a spoiler, people. That's just a prediction.
You look at Karrion, who has been pulling, you're right, he's been pulling double duty because he's been going to Raw each week, still holding the NXT Championship. Of course, after having gone undefeated, beating the likes of people like Adam Cole, beating people like Finn Balor twice, defeating Keith Lee to win the championship originally, coming back from an injury and then winning it again from Balor.
Let me tell you something about the injury. I am so excited about that. I feel like these injuries should keep you out for a long period of time, but these men and these women rehab like a beast, and that didn't keep him down, so I'm sorry, keep going.
It's fine. You look at a person like Karrion, though, and you wonder if, maybe just by a slight bit, he bit off a little more than he could chew by trying to pull that double duty. Of course, was shocked in his first match on Raw, losing to Jeff Hardy. He's avenged that loss since.
Good.
And then has split 2 matches with Keith Lee. Keith Lee winning the first one. Kross winning the first one, Keith Lee winning the second one.
Yep.
So Kross has now tasted defeat for the first time, but still has yet to be handed a loss on NXT. So it's going to be curious to see how well Kross moves into this match, because the one advantage that Karrion Kross has had over every other person is not just that physical appearance, that physical prowess, the physique and everything. It's the mental mindset that I'm tougher than you, I can bully you, I can push you to your limit. The problem is, though, the person against him on the other side is probably nastier than he is in Samoa Joe.
Probably.
And has been a person since day one, has been daring Karrion Kross to provoke him, has been daring him to say something or do something. Finally, Kross did, and against what is supposed to be his deal, Samoa Joe talked William Regal into giving him one shot at Kross, one match, one opportunity to silence Kross for good and take his NXT Championship. He's only going to get this thing, win or lose. Joe will not wrestle again after this match is over, according to the deal he made with William Regal. But an opportunity also to make a bit of history, because not only would it hand Kross his first loss in NXT, but he also would become the first 3-time NXT champion, even if he has to drop it a couple of days later. This is going to be a slugfest. This is going to be fun.
A slugfest? I wouldn't say a slugfest. I'd say a knockdown, drag out. What is slobber knocker? That's what I think it's going to be.
Are we allowed to use that anymore?
I don't know.
Well, guess what? We just used it.
I feel like that's
That's
what this is going to be. You've got 2 tough competitors in this match, and you think Kross was nasty? No, there is no problem with Joe. There is no problem. This man is the nastiest of the nasty when you come to fight. When he comes, yeah, he might have the towel around his neck, but he comes out, he looks mean, he looks tough, and that's not just an act. This man will take you to the cleaners. I've seen him run through a couple of my favorite wrestlers. I'm not going to name no names because I'm not trying not to cry on the screen.
If you want to go back and watch Samoa Joe at his finest, go back a couple of years ago on Raw, and bless you, our producer over there sneezing during the middle of the show. Love it. Go back and watch his segments, and especially the mic sections when he was going up against Brock Lesnar a couple of years ago, and sitting here looking at Brock and telling him, like, you look at me when I'm talking to you, boy. Brock's supposed to be the big bad boy in the yard, and Joe is right there nose to nose with him. Joe puts up with nothing, and Karrion Kross has been no exception to this rule, which is why you're going to get this match. Also, of course, with the tease that potentially Kross may be done in NXT and you're ready to move him up to Raw or potentially over to SmackDown because you've been testing him on Raw for the last couple of weeks, a title change here makes sense, but it also, kind of doesn't, because you already know Joe's not going to stay the champion. If he does win, he would relinquish the championship, and then the NXT title is open to the entire roster, but maybe that's what you need.
Yeah.
Karrion Kross has held an absolute stranglehold on this championship since he won it back. Everyone knew, even when he was injured, that it was inevitable that he was going to come back and win it again. And you wonder if Joe is the right guy to be able to take out Kross, because there would be no disrespect to Kross if he loses to a guy like Samoa Joe. And then it opens up the door for a whole new slew of male wrestlers on NXT to now compete for the biggest prize in the business. So we look at, a match like this, of course, you can't ignore Scarlett in the corner. Hopefully she's able to come back, because I know right now she's not cleared to be able to be in any action. So, a lot of people hoping she'll be cleared by Sunday to be able to join her husband at ringside. But we're going to see how it all turns out. But you've got first pick on this one. Who's NXT champion at the end of Sunday?
Oh, Joe. Definitely. Joe. I mean, I don't even have to give you an explanation just to say Joe. By the way, I need this man, as fine as he is, I need him to wear the braid. I think the braid works for him.
Grief.
I think the braid works for him. But the point of it is, I feel like Joe, even if it is just a one-off, and he's trying to silence Kross, is Kross going to retain anything that Finn told him about controlling his emotions and keeping everything in check? And against one of the nastiest players in the game outside of Ric Flair, knocking on wood, I feel like Joe will get in his head, and I feel like Joe will try to find a way around. You have to think, Joe has been on the sidelines what is it? He's been on the sidelines commentating, a commentator. So he's gotten to see what Kross has and what everybody else has. And I feel like, in my opinion, Joe is going to be able to pick that apart from what he's learned just from sitting on the sidelines, and how he can pick Kross apart for this match. So, in my opinion, I feel like Joe, even though it's a one-off, and I feel like, like you said, he may lose the title a couple of days later, I feel like that title, it needs to come on home to Joe, let him be the 3-time NXT champion, and let him, go up against someone who is deserving. We've got Kyle O'Reilly, we've got Adam Cole, we've got Finn Balor's on SmackDown, isn't he?
That's right.
Okay, we've got plenty of other gentlemen down in NXT who I feel like I'd like to see them get a chance at this NXT title.
Exactly. And I certainly can see the logic behind this one, especially when you've been teasing Kross being moved to Raw. You take the Raw Championship, or take the NXT title off him, move him to Raw, and you can immediately start. I mean, Karrion Kross is a guy who right now you could immediately slot into the WWE Championship picture, whether it's against, Bobby Lashley, it's against Goldberg, it's against Big E if he cashes in. It doesn't matter who's holding the title. Karrion Kross, he could skip the Intercontinental or the United States Championship completely, and you can move him straight into the WWE title picture. That's how good he is. That's how main roster ready Karrion Kross is. So, I do feel like this is a good segue match to go ahead and have him be on his way. You have him basically get out-bullied by a guy who has done this his entire career, has done this longer, and has done it better than even Karrion has.
And no disrespect to Karrion.
Right. This won't be even something that, if this ends up being where this is Karrion's, swan song in NXT, it's not going to be anything that you're going to hold against it, because there is absolutely no disrespect and there is absolutely no shame in falling to Samoa Joe because of the accolades and the history that he comes with. Joe is a first ballot Hall of Famer when he's done. There's not even a debate on this. He will be a first ballot Hall of Famer when he finally decides to call it a career. History on the line, and I believe it's the right moment for Kross to go ahead and make his move. And it opens up the door for a new NXT. It opens up the door for a new champion to come up, whether it's O'Reilly, whether it's Roderick Strong, Adam Cole, whomever. Notice I listed all the Undisputed Era, go figure. But Joe, can set the stage for the next evolution of the NXT men's division to show what they can do. I like Joe as well in this one, and that's surprising considering that Karrion Kross is undefeated. But I'm taking Joe to win this one, send Kross on to Raw, and, let's open up a new NXT and, a new champion.
You know what I'm excited about? Hearing his theme song being played over NXT, the arena. I'm every time I hear his song, I get so pumped. It's like, Joe. That's how excited I am about it, and I can tell you right now, I'm not going to be here for this, so please, when y'all do watch it, give me no spoilers unless I ask, but I probably won't.
So we move into our final match, and ironically, we are declaring that the main event will be the only match that will not involve a title. It involves way more than that. Self-respect, dignity, and at the end of the day, two former friends, now turned bitter rivals, finally once and for all deciding who is truly the best of the Undisputed Era. It is a 2 out of 3 falls match, what they are dubbing the Undisputed Finale. The final match, one way or another, no matter how this match ends, they've said, this is it. Y'all are done after this. They had to do the same thing with Gargano and Ciampa a couple of years ago, and now you're down to this. 2 out of 3 falls, Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole, one final time.
Let me drop some history on you. I was watching a YouTube video and they were doing Tale of the Tapes. Do you know these two have been all over the world together in different promotions? They've been friends, they've been enemies. So for them to end up on NXT and end their friendship in Undisputed, I feel like let me go ahead. I'm not going to even sit here and be disrespectful, but respectfully, when Adam Cole first got here, I just thought he was another pretty face. That's all I thought until he started showing me who he really is and what he really can do. And then I gained even more respect for Adam Cole. When you need Adam Cole on the drop of a dime, it doesn't matter if he's NXT, it doesn't matter if he's got to go to SmackDown, he doesn't got to go to Raw, he's got to do it does not matter. When you need Adam Cole, he is there front and center. I feel like he is the Miz of NXT to be, and that's a high honor, saying that you're like the awesome one. But my thing is, now we've got Adam Cole, who I just heard screaming in the background from Savannah, and then we have my guy Kyle O'Reilly, who I feel like ever since they have separated, I feel like they're still connected because they cannot, they have to one up each other. It's saying, I've got the bigger cojones and I'm going to beat you, and I don't care what you say or what you do. It's going to be a knockdown drag out with these two former best friends, and like we said, Dakota and like Raquel, these two know each other better than I think anybody else. And what Adam Cole did caused a separation, but I think that crap was there. I just think finally got tired of it, and that's what it is. But you know how much I love Undisputed, but you also know how much I love Kyle O'Reilly. And the whole gimmick that they're letting him run with, being himself. I feel like I'm excited for this match. But I feel like who is going to win? It could be Kyle O'Reilly. It could be Adam Cole. But from what I'm hearing, and don't quote me on this, it doesn't matter who wins or loses. I feel like one of them will be able to move to the main roster, letting the other one stay down there and continue their stay. It's just
it's been no mystery that you're bringing that up. It's been public knowledge that Adam Cole has been officially offered a $1 million per year contract to move up to the main roster. So a lot of people are expecting, win or lose, this is likely the swan song for Adam Cole, which is why I put this one in the main event. But because of that accolade, it doesn't necessarily make so much sense for him to lose his final match in NXT. I've always been one who believes, in the death of the samurai down in NXT, you fall on your sword, you lose your last match. That's how it should be. Everybody knows in wrestling that it's considered the most respect to the business that you lose your final match. And of course, this isn't going to be the final match of either of their careers, but likely for Cole, win or lose, this is likely it on NXT. And of course, these two have already had two humongous matches already against each other on back-to-back takeovers with a chance to main event their third consecutive takeover, which is high praise in NXT, and also doing so as the only non-title match. And yet, they're likely still main eventing in what will be a 2 out of 3 falls match, so that way there are no more excuses, there are no more ideals. So essentially, between the two of them, they each were given the option to be able to choose which type of match they wanted. Kyle O'Reilly flat out said, I can out-wrestle you. I can beat you out. I just want a straight one-on-one match. No rules, no gimmicks. I'm just going to out-wrestle you. Adam Cole, with the second fall, said, that's not how things are going to be. You want a straight fall match, that's fine. But in my match, I want to be able to beat you up. I want to be able to hurt you. I'm going street fight in the second fall. And then if it goes 3, Regal making the final decision, he's going to put them both in a top-filled steel cage where neither of them can leave each other, all the weapons from the street fight still being allowed to be used to decide that third and final fall. I mean, this has all the making of a match. It's going to probably go about an hour.
I feel like I'm looking at two handsome individuals, but at the end of this match, I feel like they're going to be busted up, bloody, teeth missing, eyeballs gouged out. I feel like this is how I feel for them because I know these competitors are tough, and I know they're not going to quit. It doesn't matter what you do, but they were former best friends and former brothers, and they both know each other, so they know what to expect. That's why it's going to make this match so much more better because you know what they're coming with. They've got anger, they've got rage, they're livid, you can't out-wrestle me, I'm going to show you. That's just what I feel like is going to happen.
So what we're going to do for this one to kind of add a couple of extra bonus point opportunities is because technically this will be either 2 or potentially 3 separate matches. we're actually going to make predictions for this one on each of the 3 respective matches for an opportunity for a person, either one of us, to potentially earn up to 3 points off of this one. So I picked first in terms of just the first fall, and that is just a straight singles one-on-one match. No rules, no gimmicks, disqualifications, countouts, all that still comes into play. Straight one-on-one. I think O'Reilly's right. I think in turn, he thinks his best chance to be able to best Cole is when there are no gimmicks, there's no backsliding. He has to straight up just out-wrestle him. O'Reilly firmly believes that he can. That's no disrespect on Cole. You don't hold the title for over 400 days without being a good wrestler and without knowing what you're doing. But I think O'Reilly picked this one because he's confident that he can out-wrestle Adam Cole. That could end up being the longest of the 3 falls, in my opinion. But I do think that O'Reilly is confident enough. I think he's got something in his mind. First fall, I'm taking O'Reilly.
I'm not gonna bet against O'Reilly for nothing. So I mean, it doesn't matter what happened. That's who I'm going to put all my little $200 check on is O'Reilly.
So you're taking O'Reilly for the first fall as well?
I am, because we've seen what he can do. I mean, we've seen what these two can do. It doesn't matter what type of match you put him in. I just feel like my money's on O'Reilly.
Okay. So then we moved to the second fall, which was Adam Cole's choice, which was a street fight. An opportunity, again, no rules, no disqualifications, anything goes, falls count anywhere. The ability to be able to, at this point, start hurting people. Cole choosing this one, and I think that fits more his motif. I think O'Reilly is still having trouble pulling that trigger, and I think he was able to do it at that takeover, but then he slipped when they had their rematch back at Great American Bash. He wasn't able to pull the trigger when he needed to. Cole saw that. Cole was ready. And I still think that even though the anger is there, the frustration is there, I think Cole just simply knows how to use that to his advantage. I do think second fall is where Cole ties it up. I like Cole in the second fall.
Cole, I mean, honestly, we've seen him do several different matches, and we've seen him get hurt and get back up and get hurt. But I feel like Cole is a very nasty, vicious, vile person, especially in a street fight where you need all those things to actually best your opponent. And I'm not saying that because I want to. I'm saying that because we've seen what Cole can do. And the fact, first of all, you separated a group that was stronger together, and they came back together, and then you pulled that stunt. That lets me know you're a pretty nasty person if you can break up a group, and not just a group of brothers at that. So I feel like Cole, this will benefit him more as in this street fight. I want to know what they're going to bring to that street fight. I got to know. Tables, ladders, chairs, metal baseball bat. Why do I feel like they're going to pull out crowbars in this mother joker?
So you're taking Cole?
I'm taking Cole, and
Cole
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If you're watching, no disrespect.
I don't think this is necessarily a surprise. I mean, if you're setting up 2 out of 3, in almost every circumstance, you're going to get that third fall. It's very rare you've ever seen in wrestling a 2 out of 3 falls get stopped after 2, unless someone just gets hurt or something. So both of us are on the same page. We both like O'Reilly in the singles match. We both like Cole in the street fight. Here's where I think our opinions are going to differ, because if it is square at 1, they're now going to put them in a steel cage. They're now going to lock them up to where nobody else can get to them. Nobody else can be able to come out and interfere. It's literally going to be just the 2 of them and that cage, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Last man able to get the fall ends up finally ending this rivalry, and that's where I think you've really got to look at just who wants it more. First of all, after going through, at that point, 2 matches up to that point, with the street fight being the second one, both of these guys are likely going to be pretty shot by this point, and now you're going to put the cage around them to now cause even more conflict, even more pain towards each other. But thanks to, and you wonder, who has the advantage in a steel cage match? Well, how many War Games matches have these two been in together? They have the same amount of experience in terms of a match like this. And how fitting that as many times as they went to war together, that this is as close as you can get to a War Games match without actually being in one. So how fitting that inside of a cage would be where all of this would come to an end. Just looking at everything in particular, really, I think this is a toss of a coin. I really think it's going to come down to just who has just that last little bit in the tank. And when it comes down to it, based strictly on nothing more than just having been there when the lights are brightest by literally the skin of the edge of his teeth, I'm taking Adam Cole 2-1. He takes the final fall and leaves. He will leave NXT, but he will leave with a win.
don't take Adam Cole, and I'm sorry. I mean, no, I'm not really sorry. I don't know why I'm saying that. I feel like, in my opinion, you're right. They have both gone to war side by side in these war games. I've seen them do like these cage matches. They're nothing to these guys. Like, I've seen Adam Cole fall from a cage and get back up. Yeah, he might have been punch drunk, but he got back up, and that says a lot for a little man to get back up and to keep on fighting. And then to see O'Reilly when the lights are on the brightest, I feel like, in my opinion, I feel like O'Reilly could be the one to take this all the way and get that second fall from the cage. But what scares me a little bit is I know that he's gotten hurt before, and we've seen, him get landed on steel steps. We've seen him fall and land. We've seen some pretty messed up things with O'Reilly, and somehow he gets punch drunk and he gets up too. So there's not saying that these two cannot do it. But my thing is, I feel like O'Reilly, can be the one that has that little bit left in the tank. Now, I feel like he's not going to know where he is at the time of this fight, so I feel like he's going to be kind of fighting on pure adrenaline, pure instinct. I feel like he's going to kind of go off of what's around him, who's around him. I feel like he knows that Cole is still there, but in the back of your mind, I think he has prepped for this. I think, honestly, he's got several different strategies that he's probably not telling us, and even though Adam Cole thinks he knows O'Reilly very well, I think O'Reilly's going to pull something out of the air with his little rock guitar. I'm just saying, O'Reilly.
So you got O'Reilly at the end.
Yes.
We shall see. But that's this is gonna live up to the billing. I truly do believe that you've got a potential match of the year candidate right here.
Oh, you really do. I'm excited. I'm thrilled. I'm pumped. I cannot wait. I just hate that I'm going to be at work when this happens. So
Not me.
Don't gloat.
I love being salaried. It is what it is. But either way, what do you guys think of Takeover and our predictions up to this point? Did we get them right? Did we get them wrong? I saw a lot of names come into our group. A lot of folks that decided to join us. For those of you who did, thank you very much. Please, provide us with your comments as to what you think is going to happen at Takeover. Of course, this is the Sunday event. We do have 2 more shows that are coming up. We have a plate exchange tomorrow to celebrate our new Intercontinental Champion for the second time, King Nakamura.
I'm so excited. I didn't even see that because I was at work, but I heard it was very, very good.
When in doubt, she's always at work. Just know that. If it's something important happens, she's probably at work.
Yeah, I am.
And, but that's going to happen. We're going to put that live tomorrow around 7 Eastern. That might tweak a little because I do have to work a little bit later. But if we do have to make a change, we'll let you guys know. And then we are scheduling for Saturday, 12:30 Eastern, for our Summerslam top rope spoilers. And of course, that is going to be the one where at the very end, we're going to spin our prize wheel that we brought out back at WrestleMania to give away 2 sets of WWE Shop t-shirts. So those of you, again, there's still a couple hours left. Still time to join us if you haven't already. But, that's Takeover. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Enjoy the whole weekend. This is what wrestling's all about. Kia, take us home.
There's not really much to take home. I'll see you later. I hope y'all have enjoyed it. And please converse with us on what you believe you want to see or how it's going to play out. Until then, have a good night. Good day. Bye.